Coming up on World Stories, avian flu in South Africa, peace and quiet in Hong Kong. But we begin in Germany, where a series of attacks has been taking place in Berlin. Cars have been set on fire, individuals threatened. What those targeted have in common is their stance against racism. So far, the police have yet to make any arrests.
Neukölln is a Berlin borough that's become a magnet for hipsters. It has some of the coolest cafes in the capital and pleasant old apartment buildings. The neighborhood is multicultural and lively. But there's another side to Neukölln. There have been 50 incidents there involving right-wing extremists over the past 2 years. Heinz Ostermann runs a bookshop in Neukölln. He's been one of the targets. He came under attack when he spoke out against racism and right-wing populism.
My shop window was smashed in December 2016. The following month, my car was torched right in front of my home. And now, this February, the same thing happened with my new car.
He says it's quite clear that the perpetrators are far-right extremists and want to intimidate him.
This has changed my life. I've become more cautious. Here in the bookshop, I've tried to identify any security weak spots. When I drive home, I always think about the best place to park. Then when I walk from my car to my house, if there is somebody behind me, I might cross the road. You never know what they might be up to.
The police suspect the culprits are local residents and may have links to the far-right NPD party. It's been campaigning against immigrants and the political left for years. NPD members are known to have committed a significant number of acts of violence in Neukölln and elsewhere. Sebastian Schmidtke is an NPD activist. I asked him what he thinks of the allegations that the culprits may be affiliated with his party.
The NPD does not support violence against people with different political views, foreigners or anyone else, as a political tool. What we say is, if we want to change things, then only by parliamentary or political means.
Schmidtke himself has been charged with violent crimes, though acquitted each time. He has, however, been found guilty of incitement. He's also known to have associated with violent neo-Nazis. The police are investigating the far-right scene over the incidents in Neukölln.
The recent outbreak of violence on the border between Israel and the Gaza Strip has left many dead and badly injured. DW's Tanya Kramer traveled to Beit Lahia in the north of Gaza to meet a family whose son was one of those shot dead by the Israeli military.
Mohammed's life has been turned upside down. His youngest brother Bader was killed last week in the protests. A reminder of a life lost. Here in the north of Gaza, a family is in mourning.
If the march gives us our rights, everyone should participate. But if there is no result, and if our young people just die, then we only have God to calm their souls.
Mohammed says that Bader was standing next to him when he was shot in the head. They were just a few hundred meters from the border fence. Despite his brother's death, Mohammed says he will keep on protesting. For young people like him, there's not much hope left in Gaza.
I took part in the protests. All of us should participate, because there's no work, there's no life, and nobody cares about us.
Human rights organizations have sharply criticized the use of excessive force. Raji Sourani, a human rights lawyer from Gaza, was at the border.
We saw the demonstrators, lying and falling like flies. Snipers were shooting at the forefront of the head or in the back head or at the bellies of the people, men, women, began to fall, and tens of them were around of us. It can be anybody. It's your lottery number. Snipers picking any target and they are shooting at.
But people of all ages have continued to gather in the border area, like here in eastern Gaza City. Hamas and other factions set up a tent city as a reminder of Palestinian refugees. People are now gathering old tires and taking them to the border. They plan to set them on fire to shield protesters from Israeli sniper fire.
South Africa was badly affected by bird flu in 2017. Its poultry industry culled millions of birds in an effort to lessen the epidemic. Now, the disease has spread to the country's penguins and other seabirds.
At Boulders Beach, south of Cape Town, this penguin appears to be in good shape. But this is one of the sites where cases of the highly pathogenic H5N8 strain of avian flu have been detected in seabirds, including African penguins. 17 birds have tested positive so far. The virus strain is not considered dangerous to humans. African penguins are an endangered species. Their numbers are estimated at 22,000, with populations declining rapidly in recent years. Still, the state veterinarian of Western Cape Province says the recent cases of H5N8 are not cause for major concern.
So far, there are no signs that it's having a severe effect on the population, but we are doing everything we can to make sure that it doesn't lead, that this isn't a contributor to the extinction of the African penguin.
The aim is to prevent transmission through humans.
We can't vaccinate wild birds, so all we can do is make sure that humans don't pick up a bird that is infected and then touch another bird that's infected.
The infestation is part of the bird flu epidemic that's been spreading in South Africa for nearly a year. The virus has mostly affected poultry. In the province of Western Cape alone, officials ordered the slaughter of nearly 3 million chickens. Hendrik Lowe manages South Africa's largest bird sanctuary. He's deeply concerned about the spread of the bird flu virus.
So this used to be one of our biggest waterfowl enclosures, which now looks like a desert. This is one of the first enclosures that tested positive, with over 100 waterfowl in here, and they all had to be culled.
Lowe had to put down 500 birds. Researchers suspect that wild fowl, such as geese and ducks, may have transported the virus to Africa from Southeast Asia. The refuge, called World of Birds, has been under quarantine since last September. Visitors are allowed, but no birds can enter or exit for now. Back at Boulders Beach, hopes are high that the African penguins will be spared new infections too.
Now for a look at one of the world's favorite cities, Hong Kong. Finding a quiet corner here can take some doing, but as with everything else in the territory, money will buy you anything, even a moment or two to enjoy some calm reflection.
It's not a place that people would associate with rest and relaxation. In Hong Kong, the pursuit of quiet can be challenging, whether by day or by night. While some visitors may find the crowds and noise intriguing, the locals do not always find them enjoyable.
If you want to eat something, it's better to book ahead. Otherwise, you might end up waiting for an hour or so for a table.
It's so crowded on the weekends that you can't even walk properly.
Shopping areas like this are very full, but you can find some quieter places further out.
There are plenty of undisturbed places in Hong Kong, but they're often remote. Some Hong Kongers don't mind travelling a long way to put the chaos of the city behind them. But even the countryside is getting more and more crowded, say hikers like Ming Kin Wong.
That often happens because of the media. Readers may be astonished to hear of these beautiful places in Hong Kong, but they're not big enough to support a lot of visitors. So once a place gets famous, it'll almost certainly get overrun by people.
And perhaps another reason why people turn to the countryside, green urban areas are also jam-packed. Is there an undisturbed and accessible place for Hong Kong's busy citizens to chill out? Here's an attempt right in one of the city's busiest districts. Silence is for sale in this cafe called Still House. Coffee, tea, or sometimes a piece of cake, these are the only items that customers can order in exchange for a moment of peace and quiet. Miu Chan owns Still House. The artist hopes the space can give people's minds a break.
Everyone needs a moment and space to be alone. If you interact with others 24/7, at some point, you lose sight of what you really want from life.
That one has to actually pay for silence, fair enough, say some customers. For them, the cafe gives them a unique experience not even nature can provide. But the opposite of a hectic life doesn't necessarily have to be silence. Music also provides a good escape on a lazy afternoon.